Hey everybody, welcome back to The Stuff of Legend. My name is D'Lo. I have another video for you regarding The Mandalorian. So let's go ahead and show you. I'm going to show you the thumbnail right now. Bo-Katan is confirmed for Mando Season 2. And Ahsoka might finally be confirmed as well. I'll show you why I think this is likely the case now. As she wasn't previously confirmed, but I'll show you guys why I think this is confirmed and we can debate about that. I think it's pretty solid, but we'll get to that. And more information regarding casting and just some speculations. Not a lot after that, but a couple of points I think you guys might find interesting. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into my next screen. What's up, guys? Rocking a tank top today. Just wanted to show you guys I've got my Boyka Batman design. I'll probably zoom in on that later for you, but this is something that I sell on my own. If you guys like Batman, if you guys like Scott Adkins martial arts type films, there's a fun movement about that, just trying to get some excitement for maybe a Batman TV series focusing on Batman being the fighter, the martial artist, which is something we haven't really gotten to see much of as far as Batman goes. We can talk about that later. But for the headline, Mandalorian Season 2's Katee Sackoff to play live-action version of her Clone Wars character, Bo-Katan. So if you guys are fans, like I am, and I know many of you are, of the Clone Wars or of Star Wars Rebels, the character Bo-Katan was a Mandalorian who, during the Clone Wars era was sided with Pre Vizsla for a little bit, and then after he was killed, led a rebellion against Darth Maul and I guess you might call it a takeover of Mandalore. And so she ended up becoming a freedom fighter against Darth Maul and his underground reign of the planet Mandalore. So she's pretty savage. And in Rebels, she even exists and comes back then. So after Sabine Wren returns with the Darksaber, she takes out, what was it, Clan Wren, I think it was. It might have been. Not Wren. That was Sabine Wren's clan. It was what was it? Not Vizsla. Saxon. Clan Saxon. That's what it was. So she takes out the guy from Clan Saxon, and then instead of cutting his head off like she was supposed to, she ends up saying, "I don't want to be the Mandalore. I don't want to be the leader of Mandalore. I'm going to give the Darksaber to the only person that rightfully should rule," which was Bo-Katan. Now, Bo-Katan then took the Darksaber, which is the sickest lightsaber next to probably Darth Maul's, and then ran off. She ran Mandalore until I think what they call it, the Scourge or the Great Purge or something, where the Empire came in and raided Mandalore, wiped as many out as they could, took all of their Beskar and their resources from the Mandalorians, and presumably, a lot of people believe from what we saw, Moff Gideon holding the Darksaber, usually the only way you get that is if you kill the person that had it before you. Like, for instance, Pre Vizsla had it. He got killed by Darth Maul. Darth Maul had it. Darth Maul did not die at the hand of Sabine Wren, but he lost it when he was confronted and defeated by Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious then took the Darksaber and stowed it away. I can't remember off the top of my head where exactly that went to. I thought it was what was it? The Sith. It was that Sith planet. I can't remember. I always get it mixed up because there was a couple of them. The homeworld. It's gonna bother me. I'll get back to you on that. I'm trying to do this all by memory, but regardless, the Darksaber was then found in Star Wars Rebels by Ezra Bridger and then Sabine Wren, and then there was the history that she remembered and she recalled of the Darksaber. She ended up returning back to her planet, defeating the guy from Saxon, and then liberating her people, but then not becoming the Mandalore herself, but giving it to Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan then loses it to Moff Gideon. We don't know if she was killed, we don't know if she was imprisoned, or if she survived. And still, even with this casting, any of those three could have been possible, and I'll explain why that's the case. Let's go ahead and read this article, and then I'll continue on with what I was going to say. So, Mandalorian Season 2's Katee Sackoff, great actress. She says, It says here at Deadline, which is, by the way, a very, very reputable source for movie news. Deadline, one of the best. It says, Deadline has confirmed that Katee Sackoff, who voices Mandalorian warrior Bo-Katan Kryze, as depicted in this image highlighted there, it says, on Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, will be playing the live-action version of her character in Season 2 of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. Bo-Katan made her debut in Season 4 of Clone Wars, which just had its series finale. The character has been instrumental in a lingering plotline involving the Darksaber in both the storylines of the Clone Wars and Rebels. In the latter series, it's Sabine Wren who hands over the Darksaber to Bo-Katan so that she can bring the Mandalorians together, which is what I said before. The Darksaber is seen at the end of the first season finale of The Mandalorian, now in the hands of villain Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito. There have been heavy speculation, especially reports that Rosario Dawson is playing the live-action version of former Jedi Ahsoka Tano. That the Darksaber storyline will continue into Season 2 of The Mandalorian. And then it goes on to say, in our interview with Clone Wars boss Dave Filoni last week, he said that a continuation of the Darksaber storyline is possible. I mean, it's definitely something I left hanging at the end and part of the reason is just it's always nice in my mind when there's another story. Slash Film broke the news about Sackoff playing Bo-Katan. So that's the end of the article, but it's interesting because we know about Bo-Katan and we know about her history in the Clone Wars, her history in Rebels, and when we saw the Darksaber appear in Mando Season 1, it was very evident that there was going to be some more history expounded upon, that this was clearly a cliffhanger left on purpose. They were going to dig more into the history of what happened on Mandalore, not just the history that's to come of Baby Yoda and his people, trying to figure out should they leave him with his people if they can even find him, find the people, because obviously that's the big mystery in Star Wars is who are Yoda's people, and what makes them so special. But also, what's going to happen with Din Djarin? Is he going to be able to make his way back to Mandalore? Is he going to be able to bring honor back to his people? Are they going to liberate it from the grip of the remaining Imperial officers that may be still around after the fall of the Empire? What is going to happen there? We need more history. We want to know what's going on. And also, did Moff Gideon kill Bo-Katan to get the Darksaber? That's the big question. So, I will explain in just 1 second why I think that might be the case. First, let's take a look at the IMDb, okay? So if you type in The Mandalorian and then you type in IMDb, I have it linked in the description so you can follow along. This is the official like credits page for what's going on for like all the directors, the writers, the producers, staff, and of course the cast. So you can see how many episodes they've been in, what episodes they are going to be in, and it's all the way down to right around, let me see if I can find this, right around here, right where it says Speeder Pilot. That's the last one on Season 1. Season 2 starts right here with Michael Biehn, with an unknown role. I think this one is going to be Cad Bane. And I explained why in a previous video, so if you want to see my thoughts on that, either ask me in the chat or you can go back and check my previous video. Really fun speculation there. Again, it says 1 episode, 2020. Not 2, not 3, 1 episode. Okay? And so this is why I'm not certain he will be a recurring character. He might be, but it might be a really cool cameo that happens, or it could just be a totally new guy. Like, we really don't know. But 1 episode is what he is credited for Season 2 so far. Rosario Dawson is now officially, and I was going to get to this in a second, but Rosario Dawson up to this point has not been confirmed as a specific role. Most people are saying she's Ahsoka Tano. That was never confirmed. It was assumed, and it was excitedly like Rosario was like, yes, I'd love to be Ahsoka. Oh my gosh, that'd be so great. And then when it got rolling and fans and articles were saying she is Ahsoka because she's confirmed for the season 2, she had to backpedal and say, you know what, that's not verified. I'm sorry, I can't confirm that that's the case. Obviously, for secrecy, Star Wars was like, dude, what the heck? You just blew the surprise. But now on the official IMDb page for The Mandalorian, you can see that Rosario Dawson is officially credited as Ahsoka Tano. Now, anyone with an official IMDb can come in and make adjustments if they want to. It's a little bit tighter than, like, for instance, Wikipedia, but it's the same idea that someone in the industry who has a login can go in and make that change. So this doesn't necessarily mean 100% that she is Ahsoka Tano, but I will say this. IMDb for big projects like this are pretty rarely incorrect. It's not very common that this is incorrect. And I will say that I do think that this is both, it's something that most people have been speculating probably is the case. There's still no credit here for Sasha Banks. That was one of the things I was discussing previously, is that Sasha Banks could also be someone that is playing adult Ahsoka in this, although Rosario would be just as good. So I do think that this is probable confirmation that she is playing Ahsoka Tano. Now, we already knew she was in the show, but the role was what was in question, and it was most likely, if anything, that it would be Ahsoka Tano, so this is not a stretch. I think this is probably the case. You guys can feel free to let me know if you guys take that as gospel. This is canon. This is truth. We can count on this. I bet my house, my farm, my dog on this. But it's interesting, though, that it shows one episode. We talked previously about the potentially leaked episode titles for each episode, and I can't remember if it was 5 or 6 or something, but it was called The Wizard. I would be curious. I would bet that that's probably what that is. Except this, I want to go here to her IMDb page, and you can see it says The Mandalorian, episode 2.1, which is season 2, episode 1. So maybe it's not the case that she's in episode 5 or 6, but is actually in episode 1. That's what she's credited for on her own page. Again, Katee Sackoff, to the same effect, you can see here on her IMDb page, she's playing Bo-Katan Kryze in episode 1, just like Ahsoka Tano. So Ahsoka Tano, played by Rosario Dawson, and Bo-Katan, played by Katee Sackoff, both credited for episode 1. My thinking here is that the characters that are referenced here that have credits to episode 1 are more than likely going to be flashback character moments. So it's not, I don't think, and this is my speculation, not a fact. I think them being credited for episode 1 and only being credited for 1 episode so far is either a continued tease where they don't want the fans to know that they're going to be recurring or they're alive or anything. I think this is telling us to believe that these characters will be portrayed in a flashback moment in the episode and may or may not be alive after this episode. I think it's more likely that Ahsoka's alive, but for Bo-Katan, the Darksaber was removed from her and taken by Moff Gideon. And the traditional way that happens is through trial by combat all the way to death. And so I think very likely Bo-Katan's dead, and this is going to be a flashback that is going to inform us about what happened on Mandalore and perhaps give us a clue as to what Mando is going to be doing, discovering history, trying to get back at the Empire, make things right for his people, and perhaps even get answers about Baby Yoda, because they are still, like we know from episode 4, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard when they were on that green planet. There was the Raiders and the AT-ST Walker in season 1. We know that the Empire was still sending assassins after Baby Yoda, even after the first encounter. They took out a bunch of the Trandoshans and that sort of thing. So people were constantly coming after Baby Yoda. They had to keep moving. And that's not going to stop. In episode 6 and 7 and 8, they have to continuously keep moving, because the more people find out about Baby Yoda, the more interested they are, the more they recognize its value, and the more they're going to try to collect that bounty themselves. So I think we're going to see Cad Bane come after Baby Yoda. I think we're going to see Boba Fett probably come after Baby Yoda. And I think we're probably going to see maybe even Bossk. Maybe they'll send in Bossk. It would be the perfect way to introduce those characters, is to have them be hired to take on the Mandalorian, to take on Din Djarin. I think that'd be flipping cool. So a couple of other points to, like I mentioned before, Rosario Dawson is now officially Ahsoka Tano, which I think is a really good thing. She's really good as an actress. I like her in pretty much everything that I see her in. I think that she looks very much like the part, like Ahsoka Tano. I mentioned this when she first got announced as Ahsoka, which really wasn't an announcement as Ahsoka. It was an assumption of Ahsoka announced in the cast of Mando Season 2. So, but now we can talk. I think this is an official confirmation, but what do you guys think about that? One last point to talk about before I hit the comments is there is another cast member that just got confirmed. It's really cool. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Timothy Olyphant. He's from Justified, Santa Clarita Diet, Hitman, Deadwood, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Live Free or Die Hard. He plays a lot of bad guys. He plays a lot of gunslingers, dangerous guy. Usually pretty cold and calculating. I like this guy, and I think he plays a really good villain. And I think maybe, just maybe, we might see him. I mean, he's a big name, so they might try to do him without alien makeup, but I would be willing to bet that he ends up playing someone like Bossk. Because Bossk is reptilian, cold, calculated, fierce. Would be pretty tight. He's 6 feet. You know, he's a fairly tall guy. He's not like the tallest guy in the world. Pretty normal, but a little bit above average. I think he could pull off a Bossk. He might even be the guy playing the presumed role of Cad Bane. Because Cad Bane's not confirmed for this series, but a lot of people, including myself, speculate that that's probably what is going to happen based on the casting of Michael Biehn. But I do think Michael Biehn would be better suited for that role. That being said, Timothy Olyphant is born to play the role of another assassin, and I think that Bossk would be a one that fans would probably want to see very, very much. Again, just to reiterate, there is also, of course, we already talked about this, so I won't go over too much detail, but Temuera Morrison playing Boba Fett is another example, like Katee Sackoff, of people who have played the voice of characters in Star Wars and then gone on to play them in live action again. So in Temuera Morrison's case, he played Jango, then played he played Jango and the clones in the same film, and then played and voiced Boba in animated games and series and that kind of stuff. Sorry, guys. A little bit tired. I need to catch up on some sleep. But regardless, I think The Mandalorian is doing a really, really good job so far of casting. I really think that they're not taking a lot of risks. They're hiring good actors who play very particular kinds of roles or have played a particular kind of role before. So they know that if they hire this person for this kind of role, they're going to get that result. And they're going to be able to get that result convincingly. They don't take a lot of chances, and that has worked out really well. A lot of people are like, no, you got to take chances in filmmaking. It's like, that's not necessarily true. If you can take as little chances as possible and play it safe, you'll get a safe result. And I think that a safe result in the case of Star Wars is probably what the people want and need right now. We don't need more failures under the guise of subverting expectations and taking risks and things like that. You can take a risk in the story plot, perhaps, but have good actors. know that they're going to do their part, make sure that they do their part. And if it will all come together. I mean, Mando season 1 is the perfect experiment of that. And same with Star Wars Rogue One. Rogue One was brilliantly done. They got like Alan Tudyk for K2SO. They got what was it? Diego Luna to play Cassian Andor, if that's the correct, I think that's the correct name, Diego Luna. And then, you know, like it worked really, really well. They played it really well. Good casting, good story. And they didn't have to take a lot of like quote unquote risks. I think the only risk you might say that they took is killing off most all of the main characters in Rogue One, but that was already kind of part of the deal. They already said that, you know, a lot of people had to die to get the plans. I gotta wake up. All right, so that's pretty much it. I mean, if you guys don't already know, like, and this is where Timothy Olyphant is confirmed, Mandalorian, and again, this is episode number 2.1. This is the first episode of The Mandalorian. That point right there, where it says that he's confirmed again for the first episode of Mando season 2, episode 1. That's the same episode as Bo-Katan, which makes me think that that Timothy Olyphant is actually going to probably play a Mandalorian instead of just a bounty hunter. I think he'll end up playing that. He'll play another Mandalorian probably during the Great Purge, the great, you know, siege of Mandalore. I think that's who he'll play. He'll probably play like another Mandalorian fighting alongside Bo-Katan, and we'll get to see some serious action, but he probably won't make it. He probably won't survive past episode 1. So pretty cool. They're bringing in some big names. Unfortunately, we're seeing a limited scope right now. They might be in more than one episode, but that's not what we know. That's only what we can guess. We can speculate. We do know that they'll be in at least one episode so far. I hope that does expand as we get closer to the release date, and then we start to see, oh, maybe they're in like 4 or 5 episodes. That'd be cool. Just get more characters out of that. But season 1 did a good job jumping from episode to episode, keeping them like their own little movies. I thought episodes 1, 2, and 3 fit like their own singular movie. Episode 4 fit like its own movie. Episode 5 felt like a side plot, but I think is going to tie more into season 2. And episode 6 felt like its own movie. That was the prison break episode with Bill Burr. And then episodes 7 and 8 both together felt like a 2-part single movie. Really, really good stuff. I'm liking that kind of method where you have several different stories told throughout, where they all build together into one thing, but they can also work as their own little chapters within this chapter of Mando's life. So that's what I have to say. A lot of fun casting news, and I'm dying to see what they do come this October when it finally gets released. And if you guys haven't seen, there's a lot of behind the scenes Star Wars content coming out from the making of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Really cool. It just shows the Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and all the directors and the actors and the people that are working on it discuss how it was made, showing the sets and stuff from a different perspective, showing the 501st Legion and their stormtrooper suits and buckets and that sort of thing on set. And just the love for Star Wars is back in the making of Star Wars. You know what I mean? They had like 1 or 2 shots of Kathleen Kennedy in episode, I think it was 2 of the making of The Mandalorian, which was hilarious because she said like one thing and then that was it. Because I think they know that she's basically fandom poison right now. They need to keep her in the background. Keep her producing. She's really good at producing, but she sucks at creative storytelling. They need to have someone else come in and take the reins on getting everyone on the same page creatively. Because that's not her forte. Her forte is funding and getting the necessary resources and tools and people for projects, but getting them on the same page has been a failing area for her. She needs help. And I think if she has that help, like Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, they can do wonderful things together. This is not to knock Kathleen Kennedy, but just to say that the setup they did with The Mandalorian, where she doesn't have total and complete control over the process and the projects, it worked well, and they need to keep that format. Because she is a great producer. She's not a great creative storyteller. She's not a great creative officer. Chief creative officer is not her forte. So allow someone like Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni to help her in that aspect, and on all projects would be a nice thing. Because then there's an accountability to the love of Star Wars as a fan, not just someone who likes Star Wars or enjoys Star Wars but really doesn't understand it. And if you watch the making of The Mandalorian, Dave Filoni proves that he is the guy. He is the guy that knows Star Wars better than anybody on planet Earth except for George Lucas himself. It's incredible. Especially in the middle to end of the second behind the scenes episode. You've got to see what he has to say about The Phantom Menace. It proves he knows Star Wars better than me, or better than you, or better than all. Like, he's the guy. He was chosen by George Lucas for a reason, because he really does truly know and love Star Wars. And so that will be the end of my rant and tirade. So I will go ahead and shift over so that we can see. Let me see, where's my screen? Where did it go? I have a screen I'm supposed to do. My keyboard button that I usually use, my Stream Deck is for some reason not working, so I have to go in here and click. There we go. That'll do. All right, so you can see my tank top right here, Boyka Batman. Get this thing off right here. There you go. Just make Scott Adkins Batman. That's what I say. All right. Anyway, Daniel's Hot Topics. What's up, my dude? Thank you for joining in. Let me take some comments from you, brother. He says, first like. Hi, Daniel. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. First like is always a special moment. You say Katee Sackoff was awesome in Clone Wars, Battlestar Galactica 2014, and Halloween Resurrection in 2002. You know what? I loved her character in the Clone Wars. I loved her in Star Wars Rebels. I didn't even know it was her. So when this announcement came out, I had to go and I was like, that sounds so familiar. And then I went back and I looked at the credits. I was like, oh my gosh, that was her character. She voiced the character, and now she's playing live action just like Tamora Morrison's going to do. Super, super awesome. I really like that. And I do think she is great for that role. So, Daniel's Hot Topics again says, I am so getting Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 1 when it comes out. Season 1 had a small personal story, but Season 2 will have a bigger galactic story. I agree. Season 2, I think, and I said this on my channel before, I do think they are going to continue to visit planets and regions of the galaxy we maybe haven't seen before, as well as also returning to places we do know that maybe have already been ravaged by the Empire. Like, for instance, revisiting a war-torn Coruscant, revisiting a war-torn Mandalore, and then probably other places like, I do still think very much so that the planet Gamorrean may be a planet that has been visited or will be visited in The Mandalorian Season 2 based on some of the early concept images that we were given from Jon Favreau on his Twitter. So that's pretty cool. I do hope that comes to pass, and I do think you're right. It will get galactically larger. It's going to start to really grow in Season 2. And I'm excited for that. I really am. Even if they take it at a slightly slower pace, it's still going in an upward trajectory, leaving plenty of room for like Season 3 and other things like that. So let me go ahead and read. He says, I read that the Ahsoka live action series could have the Rebels in it, Captain Rex, Hera, Zeb, and the rest, and we could get live action Thrawn. Oh my gosh, that'd be so good. It says, I hope they do the Darth Maul thing where they use the voice, where they use the smooth, dark voice of Thrawn in Rebels animated series and cast whoever can do Thrawn in person. Okay, and then and then you say, I bet Sasha Banks will play Sabine. Hey, that's a good suggestion. They both are very similar. Both have olive skin. Both have purple hair. And Sabine is a warrior, and Sasha Banks is a great warrior. I agree. I think that's a very good call. So back to what you said about the Ahsoka live action series. I haven't heard much about that beyond pure speculation. I do know that there is in fact an untitled, unofficially disclosed series coming to Disney Plus for Star Wars. They haven't said what that's going to be. I think you're right, though. I think that that could very easily and very likely be an Ahsoka Tano series involving the Star Wars Rebels in live action. In fact, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. I want to do a fan casting for those characters, and I will include Thrawn because Thrawn is one of the best Legends Star Wars villains. I think he might be one of the best Star Wars villains, period. He's very complex. It's weird because he's honor driven in a way. Like he's got an honor for war itself. He loves history. He loves art. He's almost unbeatable. You can't outthink the guy. He's a genius. I think someone like Jason Isaacs, Benedict Cumberbatch, perhaps even what's the guy that played the dad in Rogue One? Mads Mikkelsen. Either Mads or his brother Lars Mikkelsen would be really cool for that too. There's plenty of guys out there that could play the role, and I've got so many more that I've thought of in the past. I just haven't made the video for. I think I even made a list already of like 10 people that I thought would be great for that. So I've already got a list ready to do the casting if I want to do that, and I probably will soon. I think that's a good call with Sabine. Have Sasha Banks play Sabine Wren, who undoubtedly will be found probably alongside Ahsoka Tano when she's found, or if there's a flashback scene, or maybe it just happens to be on Mandalore alongside Bo-Katan. Maybe she returned to that after traveling the universe with either Ahsoka or Hera. Would be super cool, and I'm a big fan of Sabine Wren. One of the coolest Mandalorians. I mean, I love the artsy, I'm usually not like a big fan of that kind of thing, like where they just take they take something and then just make it like the artsy version of that. Like if you take a TIE fighter and then you make it like the graffiti version of that, it's like it's cool. But like with Sabine, her style, she left Mandalore, like that to me was kind of a cool thing, like where she tried to keep her culture, but at the same time just express herself a little bit differently because she's no longer part of that. I thought it was cool. I really like that character, and I do think Sasha Banks would do really well in a warrior role like Sabine Wren. Really prep for some serious hardcore action, because that's what they hired Sasha Banks for. That's what they hired Gina Carano for, and that paid off swimmingly. She was so great in The Mandalorian. That's what a strong female character is. An actually strong female character who's confident, who's been in battle. The actress herself was a fighter. Most people already know that by now, but she was a fighter. I think it was Strike Force or something. I can't remember what the league was that she was in, but she was for a time the best female fighter alive, and then she got, I think it was right around, I can't remember who it was that beat her. I don't remember who it was, but either way, she's made some killer fight scenes. She did a movie with Ewan McGregor and what's the other guy, Michael Fassbender. Really, really cool fight scenes in those. Deadpool 2. Deadpool as well, because she was in Deadpool 1. But yeah, so like really, really cool. Love Gina Carano. Great character. It fit perfectly, and I think that's going to be the case with Sasha Banks. She's going to be playing another character that plays to her strength. She's going to be very athletically used in her role. If she's not, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if they don't do that, because that's what Mandalorian has been doing up till now. Everyone hired has been played to their strengths. And that's a good move, because then you end up with a strong result, not a risky result. Okay, and then let me go ahead and address this one as well. So you say, you know how in Solo, a Star Wars story, when they showed Maul, they had Ray Park do Maul physically and have Sam Witwer do the voice. They can use someone physically as Thrawn and use the voice from Rebels. Yeah, that's true. They could have the voice come back from Rebels and have someone else do him physically, that would be cool. But I think they'll probably, if they are going to do someone other than the voice actor from Rebels, they'll probably just have that person who's the physical actor take it directly and just do it that way. Because voiceover, if you have a villain that's going to be like long term, could be very, very tricky. And it might be easier to spot where it's not legit. You know what I mean? Because the more lines you give a cerebral character, who is not, who's basically lip syncing, the more it's going to come off as not real. Our brains as humans can tell when something's off. If the audio and the video in my videos here are not synchronized, it bothers everybody because you're like, this isn't working. It's not, it's not synchronized. When it's not synchronized, when Britney Spears sings her songs, you can tell she's lip syncing and it bothers everybody. Even if she recorded it beforehand and you know that it was her or whatever. And in the case of an actor, when they're not the one speaking, more often than not, you can tell, your brain can tell, you can see their lips moving in a slightly different way than the sounds are coming out. And it just doesn't, it doesn't sit well in your brain. So if they can make it work, that'd be really awesome. But, and in the case of Darth Maul, I think it worked for the best because they were also doing a hologram, and Darth Maul is not a man of very, very many words, except for in Rebels and Clone Wars. So like in the live action depiction in The Phantom Menace, I think he had like one line. Like it was not a lot. But yeah, so I think it would be really cool. And I love when they pay tribute to the TV shows, like for instance, Katee Sackoff coming back to play her character. That's her character, and it feels good when she comes back to do that. Tamara Morrison playing Jango Fett and then being cloned. He played both Jango and millions of clones. That feels good. Him coming back to play Rex would also feel good because it's also him. It's a clone of him. Him coming back to play Boba Fett also would feel good because that's also him. It's his character. Even though like you could, there's an argument to be made for Daniel Logan coming back, but it's in the future, so he would be older. That to me would make sense. So I would like to see that, but I do think that someone with the voice of like Benedict Cumberbatch would knock that out of the park. Plus they could study the character in the TV show and just emulate that. I mean, that's a big part of acting as well, is also acting through your voice. Not just on a microphone, but like when you're giving a physical performance, allowing that to carry through vocally. With emotion, but also with inflection and with your if you have an accent or there's a lot of ways that you can approach getting into that character. You don't have to do that, but it would be nice for people who are fans of the show to be like, oh my gosh, this sounds sinister and it sounds menacing, just like Thrawn. So I'm totally with you on that, and I loved Rebels, and I hope that is the case because it would be great to get more deep into like not just Moff Gideon as an Imperial officer, but also admirals like Thrawn. That would be really, really awesome, really cool. That gets me much more excited, and I probably will do a fan casting for these Star Wars characters. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump to another page that I wanted to show you guys. Let me see if I can find it here. Am I going to be able to find it? Let me see. See if I can find it. 1 second. It takes a second to load, but I'm almost there. And okay. All right. There's a couple, I think there's one or two more comments that I'll jump to. In the meantime, if you guys want to get like a t-shirt or a tank top, or a mug or something like that, check out the link in the description below. You can find it also in my link tree. It'll take you to my TeePublic account. You can go down here and you can click Star Wars, and it'll show you a lot of the Star Wars designs that I have here, as well as other fandoms, of course, that you like: Marvel, Star Wars, DC, Lord of the Rings, the Dark Crystal, you know, whatever it is that you guys like. I'm sure that I have tons of designs for. I've got over 300 designs that I've created myself artistically based on a lot of the fandom concepts that we love all together. So you can check out plenty of these and get yourself some merch. This one I thought you guys might appreciate. Tough as Beskar. Made that one myself. But you can get that. You can actually change the color if you don't like the original color that I have picked out for you. So you can make it blue or whatever. But any purchase you make here does help me out, helps my channel, my family, so I can get like new cameras, new lights, and new software, pay for the software subscriptions that I already have going on, so that I can continue to make awesome content for you guys. And I am looking into new ways to better this content for you. And the more that comes in, the more that I can dedicate myself to this channel and continue to provide you guys more and more content. And I do appreciate all that you guys do. So let me take the last comment, and I will close out this video. So thank you. Daniel's Hot Topic says, oh, also, you know how in Return of the Jedi, Palpatine, when his body was destroyed, he went to Exegol and got a new body and got new ones for some time. He could have survived the rise of Skywalker. He did it once, he can do it again. I agree. I mean, according to the lore of Episode 9, literally anything is possible. And he, you know, we already knew cloning was a thing. We already knew that that the Sith and the Kaminoans were already working on cloning technology. And the Sith have always been obsessed with merging technology with the occult. That's not new to the Rise of Skywalker, but it was a big plot point to bring back Emperor Palpatine. A lot of people didn't like how they brought back Emperor Palpatine because it makes Episode 6 feel like a moot point. Like it didn't actually bring balance to the Force. I mean, for a time it did, but then you have to go through the whole thing again. So it wasn't really done in Episode 6, which is kind of a bummer. But at the same time, he could also, again, not be dead, which would make Episode 7, 8, and 9 almost a moot point. If they continue on, Episode 10 ends up being like, I heard a rumor, I think this was the last time we talked about this, Luke Skywalker and Anakin might come back, and Dave Filoni and, you know, George Lucas making a movie together to write Luke and Anakin having to come back and take on the Emperor once and for all to really finish it off for good this time. That could be interesting, but I am just not sure that that's what I would want to see. I mean, it could be the coolest thing ever. But for me, it just feels a little bit, it feels like they won't let the story have any kind of conclusion. Not that I want Star Wars to stop, but just that Emperor Palpatine was defeated in 6. So to bring him back in 9 as kind of, it's cool because I like Palpatine. It kind of undoes the point of Episode 6. And then to do it again then makes 9 redundant again. You know, it's like they can't think of anything better than Emperor Palpatine, and he is a great villain. But there's plenty of other stories out there. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but you're right, it is possible. Anything's possible. So then it says here, Anthony Manzano says, hey, Daniel. Hey, dude, what's up? It's good to hear from you again. Daniel's Hot Topic says, I hope Mike Zero is wrong about if this is the real, but he said that Anakin and Luke will come back and destroy Palpatine's soul once and for all, erasing him from existence. I'm not crazy about that. Yeah, I'm not really crazy about it either. I think I just went over that, but I agree. Daniel's Hot Topic says, why not just do what they did in the EU? They sent him to the Netherrealm, where he wanders an endless desert for all eternity. So at least he will still... Pardon me, guys. At least he will still exist. What is the point of erasing him? I know, it's kind of... I mean, what's the point of erasing him? What's the point of defeating him at all. You know, it's like he just keeps coming back. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of redundant, and it diminishes the effect of episode 6 and episode 9 in retrospect. So the further along you drag out the same story, the less it feels important that 6 happened or 9 happened. It might as well have almost might as well have not happened. Like, I get that if they didn't stop him in 6, the Death Star would have been completed again for the second time, and they would have blown up a bunch of planets, probably all of them, and then that's the end of the universe. Okay. They were going to do that again in 9. You know, like they were going to, it's like the same plot. It's like there's no new ideas. It doesn't seem like a really great villain if he has all the same ideas over and over and over again. Keep in mind, episode 6 was the continuation of the plan from episode 4. The Death Star was blown up in episode 4. It was the second Death Star that happened in episode 6. So doing it again with the Star Killer base, which is just bigger Death Star, again in episode 7 is yet again redundancy. It's the same story again. And then to do it again with a massive fleet of Death Stars on Super Star Destroyers. So every Super Star has a mini Death Star. It's just the same idea hammered over and over and over. It worked in 6. It totally worked in 6. Doing it again in 7 was when people were like, again? And then you do it again in 9. And, you know, it's like, I hope that that's not the point of what will come of episode 10. Because to me, defeating the Emperor yet again and yet again and yet again, it's losing its value to me. It's not building value. It's losing value. So that's how I feel about it. And then Anthony Manzano says, Daniel, this is off topic, but are you excited for the Percy Jackson TV series on Disney Plus? And did you ever read the books? I never read the books, and I just saw the Percy Jackson movie, the first one, very recently, like end of last year. And I thought it was really cool. You know, based on Greek mythology. Really cool story. If they're going to do a Disney Plus series, I'm probably going to watch that. I mean, it's pretty cool. I really like the concepts. It feels very fantasy. You know, like I'm not a big sci-fi guy, but I love fantasy, which is why I love Star Wars, because it's not sci-fi. It's fantasy. It's basically Lord of the Rings in space. And I really enjoy that concept for Percy Jackson, because it's not sci-fi. It's a good fantasy story. I never read the books. I've never been a huge reader. It took like special ideas for me to be interested to read. Like, it was either comic books or it was like I read a few of the Star Wars books. I like the Star Wars books. And if it wasn't that, then it was like nonfiction. I never read Harry Potter. I actually never read The Lord of the Rings either. I watched The Lord of the Rings. I'm a movie and TV guy mostly. When it comes to comic books, though, I have read quite a few. But yeah, so that's kind of where I am with Percy Jackson. I'm actually very new as a fan of Percy Jackson. So yeah, that sounds cool. Anthony Manzano says, Daniel, question, is the High Republic storyline one of those controversial storylines for Star Wars? Is that why fans are on both sides of the fence for it? Either they hate it or love it. Well, right now there's nothing to hate or love. Like right now what we have was a trailer put out that basically told fans, well, okay, so there's two kinds of fans. Fans that just see things on the surface, and fans that are diehard, looking at every single detail, looking at every little minutia in the trailer, every like twitch of the eye of the person speaking, everything in the background that you can see, looking for specific Easter eggs and cameos and mentions, and what is this going to be? What are we dealing with? Are they mentioning any planets? what are the concepts going to be? So there's the people that are like detectives and people that are casual fans. The casual fans tend to be like, okay, I mean, if it's going to be like the sequel trilogy, then maybe or maybe not, they won't like it. Then there's the people like me that are detectives that noticed that on the board of things that they wanted when they were writing the stories for this High Republic, it said a few key words that are trigger. It's basically like a trigger for Star Wars fans because we've been abused so many times by shoving politics into Star Wars, like real world politics. I'm not talking about the Republic versus the Trade Federation and how, you know, the lack of separation between church and state of the Jedi Order and the Grand Republic caused corruption to breed so that the Sith could infiltrate the Republic and then take over the Jedi. You know, like that was not that kind of politics, because that's still politics in the fantasy world of Star Wars. It's still good versus evil. In the case of politics in the real world taking over Star Wars, I'm talking about Kathleen Kennedy being like the Force is female, #feminism, if you didn't like Rose Tico, then you're a racist. You know, like I'm talking about, like, you can't criticize a character because if you do, it's considered hate towards the actor. You know, like that's the kind of like garbage, nonsensical politics that was shoved into Star Wars in the sequel trilogy, and a couple of those words were forced into the storyboarding and the concept creating process for the High Republic. So when we're talking about do people like or not like the High Republic, it depends on what's important to you. If what's important to you is, for instance, like LGBTQ representation, like prioritizing diversity over character story writing or character progression, you need feminism to be at the forefront of all of this, regardless of whether or not there's actually like warrant for the characters to, you know, be primary characters, whether or not you've written backstory to them. Like, you know, like if your priority is a social justice movement, then your priority is not good Star Wars storytelling. That's secondary at best. You can only have one top priority. There's only one top priority. You can't have two. So anything that's your top priority, if it's Star Wars storytelling is priority, then it could be very good. It could still be really good. You can have all the other things. And guys, I want you to know, if you guys aren't like, if you're hearing me in a way that is not what I'm trying to say, I want you to know I'm all for diversity. I'm all for female-led films and characters. I'm all for strong female characters. One of the best characters in The Mandalorian was Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano. One of my favorite Star Wars stories ever told was Star Wars Rogue One, which is a female-led film with a female character. There's plenty of diversity in that film. Donnie Yen, again, one of the better characters in that movie, is Asian. You know, like there's plenty of diversity that works. Plenty of, you know, other elements like you can have, like, I don't even call that feminism. It's just having a good strong female character is not feminism. That's just having a character that works. Leia is a strong female character in Star Wars. Ahsoka Tano is a strong female character in Star Wars. You don't have to have, it's not inherently feminism. Feminism nowadays, third wave feminism, is like a man-hating feminism where like you have to put men down in order to lift a woman up. It's not good. It doesn't even make the woman character good just by putting the man down. It just means that this mediocre character looks better in contrast to crappy other characters. So that's not good either. You want to have good characters all around. And then if, you know, your main character stands above the rest and is female, wonderful. That's a great character. You know, like, so like it's funny because in the trailer for the High Republic, if you freeze it when it shows their storyboard, I made videos about this as well. It shows that their top priorities were wrong. They had top priorities that were like LGBTQ representation, the diversity was a must, and it was like multiple points of the board said the exact same thing. And it's like, you can have diversity. No one's against diversity, but like you're saying that your storyline priority is diversity. Like that's why people are worried. That's why people don't trust Disney Star Wars, is because your priority isn't telling good Star Wars stories. Your priority is real world politics. And we're not having fun with that. That's not fun. We want to experience a fantasy. We don't want to watch Vox for 30, 40 minutes or read a comic book about Vox politics. We want Star Wars. We want to escape into a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away when things were awesome. That's what we want. And so anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. I am actually, all of what I just said aside, I'm fairly optimistic that it could be very, very good in that time frame. But whether or not the comics or the books are going to do well is dependent on how they write the characters and stories. If they write the characters and stories well, and it's not politically driven, or it's not designed to like propagandize or motivate people towards certain ideologies, then you'll be fine. You'll do fine. And it will be a lot of fun, probably, because it looks like they're going hardcore into like there's like thousands of Jedi, and it's like Texas Ranger style, like where Jedi were out there like exploring the worlds and the universe and the galaxy. All that sounds fun. So it could work. But people don't trust it right now because of the trailer they put out and because it's coming off the heels of the sequel trilogy, which bombed. So not bombed financially, by the way, because it did really well financially. Everyone's going to go see it the first time, but not everyone's going to go see it a second time or rewatch it later. Some people a lot of people who are fans of Star Wars have given up, and I'm not one of them. I have not given up. So I'm cautiously optimistic. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. And then Daniel's Hot Topic says, what if episode 10 will explore the Emperor's backstory and explain why he is the way he is and possibly reform him? I mean, no one wakes up one day. What? I mean, no one wakes up one day and says, I think I'm going to be evil today. Oh yeah, like to show the Emperor's backstory is a cool idea. That would be a story about the Emperor I would be willing to see. Go back and show him under the tutelage of Darth Plagueis the Wise. In fact, it might even be better to tell the story about Darth Plagueis specifically, and then have the main plot be the usurping of power and building up to the murder of Plagueis by Sidious. That would be super, super cool. And I would love to see that. That to me sounds like a great storyline for more of Palpatine. I would not like to see him played out again after episode 9. I would like to see before. And I know that some people are like, no more prequels. It's like, forget you. The prequels are awesome. So, and frankly, the prequels, all of the prequels, yes, I mean The Phantom Menace. Yes, I mean Attack of the Clones. They're all better than all of the sequels, in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't share that. Don't care. It's my opinion. So let's go ahead and read the last comment. Anthony Manzano says, Daniel, I know that they just confirmed Ahsoka for season 2 Mandalorian, but did they just confirm did they confirm who is the actress going to play her? Yes, they did. So I'll show you that before. I know you popped into this video a little bit later, but it was Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson here from the Marvel TV shows. She also played Batgirl in Lego Batman. She's been in Rent. She's been in Eagle Eye, Clerks, too. So she's actually playing Ahsoka Tano. Now, that wasn't confirmed up until now. People were saying it was, but it was not. But now it's on the IMDb page. So you can see here that she is playing Ahsoka Tano in episode 2.1, which is season 2, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. So for at least one episode, she will be Ahsoka Tano. I'm excited, and I think this will do really well. All right, that's pretty much all I had to say about that. So that's confirmed. Katee Sackoff is also confirmed. Let me see if I can find you that picture of her, Katee Sackoff from CSI, I think it was, and from 24. And then Timothy Oliphant as well is also confirmed. So that is all I have to say for today. Thank you guys so much for joining this video. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those are the 4 ways you can help me out. And I just hit 500 subscribers, so I really appreciate all of you guys subscribing to my channel and helping me get to 500. I really appreciate it. Next major landmark for me will be 750. And then after that, 1,000, when I can finally start to make money on this channel. So I appreciate that. Until then, get yourself one of these mugs that's scrolling down below me. Usually those are around 11 bucks, 13 or 14 bucks at maximum. And then 20 bucks for t-shirts, or if they're new or if they're on sale, which most of them are on sale right now, you can find for 20 bucks, or if they're on sale for 14 bucks or 13 bucks. And you can click that link in the description below. That'll take you down here where if you want to support me, not for free, if you want to put money on it and help me get my channel growing and, you know, feed my family, that kind of thing, then you can get yourself a t-shirt, mug, sweater, hoodie, tank top, like this one, Boyka Batman, stickers, pins, wall art, pillows, bags, all kinds of cool stuff. So check that out and let me know what you think about this video. You guys rock, and I hope to see you guys again right here on The Stuff of Legend. Hey guys, D-Lo here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And remember to share this video with all of your nerd friends. I know you got them, and you know who they are. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about this discussion. Let me know what you would like to see me do a video on next. Subscribe to the channel because you're a legend, and we have that in common. Also be sure to turn on notifications to be notified right away when I upload my next video, or so that you can be alerted when I go live next time. That way you'll never miss a thing. Check out the other videos on the channel so that we can have a discussion on all your favorite movies and TV topics. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more right here on The Stuff of Legend.